Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. Welcome to today's upload. Before we jump into it, a couple quick links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman, Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks, they're available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It does not cost a cent. Click the like button. It takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads that I put out daily, click the bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment and share the video. Why? Well, because all of these things, they really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. They definitely do matter, and they are appreciated. And with that, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump in to today's upload, shall we? So, today's upload is actually, I will tell you exactly why today's upload is what it is. I had an amazing conversation with a subscriber who has sent me a ton of gifts, has just been an amazing supporter of the channel. And Aramic, I like to bust his hump and call him like the Mothman, the greatest Mothman researcher ever, which is not true. He does not believe in the Mothman. I have a hard time with the Mothman. I think the Mothman is real. I don't think it is a bug. I think it is a humanoid, possibly reptilian-like. I do not believe it is like Mothra from Godzilla. So I end up having this amazing conversation with Aramic. Our first conversation, I wanted to thank him personally for the last package he sent me. He sent me just a ton of stuff, great cameras, this amazing hiking safety device, a Garmin InReach Mini, and some drones, just a lot of stuff that will come in handy. And we had an amazing conversation, and we went down a couple rabbit holes together. So I stayed on that rabbit hole when he and I got off the phone with each other, and I came across some crazy information that I think you guys need to hear, and that's what we're going to do right now. So I got to thinking when Aramic and I were talking, and we started to talk about books. I was standing in this room, and I started to look at my bookshelf, and one book immediately popped out. I don't know why, but it's the Danny Van Drimeny book, Them and Us, How Neanderthal Predation Created Modern Human. I remember the first time I ever shared that title, and people were like, Neanderthals did not create human. And I'm like, that's not what the title means. But it is truly an amazing book. And there are tidbits of information that really point to what Neanderthal really were. And so then I went on a quick deep dive on something else, and that is very strange. My computer literally just started moving by itself. Went on a deep dive on myself, or by myself, and started to look at some other strange things. Jumped into a very, very fascinating source of information And I was like, you know what? I just found this. I cannot believe I found it. I'm going to share it. I'm going to make an upload out of this because the information is friggin' amazing. There is an old story that talks about, and many of you have heard it. Many of you will say that is not true. But you know what? Here's the thing. I had my own experience. I share experiences on this channel every day. The only experience that I can prove without a shadow of a doubt, or know without a shadow of a doubt that truly happened, is my own. I was never there for anyone else's. All of this cryptozoology, paranormal research, is a pseudoscience. And everything about this pseudoscience is based on theory and speculation and first, second-hand accounts, and really, honestly, becoming so open-minded that just because your theory doesn't line up with someone else's, you won't disregard that person's theory, because you can eventually pull something from that theory and make or help your own, making it stronger. And it's truly an amazing thing. There's an old story about, in California, a city of gold underneath LA, supposedly. There's an old, supposed to be a schematic or map of the sewer systems and whatnot that runs under LA. And there's a city of gold that was created by an ancient alien race. Now, supposedly what happened was that these aliens came here 100,000 years ago and created a creature using their DNA and DNA on other things that were on this planet to create a hybrid. This goes against a lot of people's spiritual beliefs. And that's not what I'm here to do today. I believe in Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is my Savior. But I also believe in evolution. So I am probably one of the most open-minded person that, and people will probably nail me to the freaking floor on that one, but I don't care. I really don't. Jesus is my Savior. God gave me a brain to use and come up with my own conclusions, just like he did everyone else. So supposedly this alien race created this species of large bipedal cryptids to harvest gold for them. And when I first heard that, I was like, whoa. And that cryptid was Bigfoot, right? Now, in the Sumerian text, there is a old writing about a breed of dog-headed like alien that came to Earth and stayed on Earth. Now, obviously, everyone that has watched any kind of videos on YouTube or my favorite reading have heard about Marco Polo, Alexander the Great, the Cynocephalan, and whatnot, which is Dogman. It's Dogman. It's just people like to say the name just so they can sound like they know something. But that was supposedly that race of aliens that the Sumerian talked about. And they kept getting attacked. And they kept withdrawing from humans. They didn't want to fight with humans. Even though if they all banded together, they could have wiped us out. But they decided to fall back and just go into hiding. Supposedly, their cities and their wealth was great. You know, humans traded spices with them and whatnot. But anyway, so Bigfoot or Sasquatch, supposedly in this tale, was created by this alien race, not the dog-headed alien race, but this gray-like alien race to harvest gold, or and it's interesting because I hear something that never ceases to baffle me. People will like nail you to the floor on anything if they disagree with or you disagree with what they say, especially if it's anything that has to do with theology. But yet, those same people will talk about the Anunnaki like they are something different than what we are talking about right now. Well, the Anunnaki was that race of aliens that supposedly created Bigfoot. And I'm going to share this with you right now. The authorities behind science, education, and the media endeavor relentlessly to convince us that the human was evolved from Neanderthal. The irony is that although we in fact did not evolve from this primate form, one might say that the Illuminati running the planet did. According to the Guardian's material, if we go back to around 150,000 years BC, the Anunnaki from planet Nibiru, our 12th planet, created Neanderthal as a slave race to mine gold. They intended to use humans, but decided that we were too intelligent. The Anunnaki discovered that gold, in its white powder form, has positive regenerative effects on their deteriorating DNA. They even put it into their atmosphere. However, they ultimately discovered its serious long-term side effects in creating greater distortion in the DNA and in their consciousness. Note that today individuals have discovered this white powder and are convinced of its regenerative powers. Neanderthal had a genome consisting of Anunnaki and ape gene, also a few other minor species. The Guardian ETs had a benevolent hybridization research program for rehabilitation of DNAs, and some of the fallen ETs who had defected to their side were requesting its bioregenesis program. The Guardians decided to utilize Neanderthal man since it already possessed capable genes. They, the Guardians, upgraded the Neanderthal, known then as Locus or Lahari or Cro-Magnon 1, further to E. Lahil Levi Cro-Magnon 2, and further to Homo sapien 1, containing many human genes, and now a body form indistinguishable from human. Bioregenesis involved permitting these fallen ETs to incarnate into these bodies, combining DNA strands, and through experience and constructive living, rehabilitate their mutated and reversed coded DNA. These non-human souls in human-type bodies were called the Anu Melchizedek Leviathans. Unfortunately, they were rebellious Invader ET seized this opportunity to further their world domination program. They realized that these bodies / DNAs contained capable genes and could be used for incarnations to thus operate physically on Earth and control world affairs more directly. As a result, countless Anunnaki, Draconian, and hybrid who were compatible were born into these human bodies, but with a far different consciousness from human regarding their deficient emotional structure, absence of compassion, but great mental abilities. These Leviathan, as they were called, with their family lines extending from Atlantis period to present day, formed the Illuminati, or the 13 blood families. Now, before we go any further, the name Anu Melchizedek Leviathans, that has nothing to do with the biblical Leviathan of Job, the sea dragon. That this is nothing. The name is similar, but it stems from Levi, or the biblical tribe of Levi, the Levites, derived from the biblical book of Leviticus. So that's just not to confuse anyone. And once again, this is information that I'm sharing with you. I find it fascinating and interesting, and it has to do with everything that we talk about. Everything. But around 10,000 BC, the number of Leviathans were so considerable, outnumbering those on mission for planetary realignment and restoration of the DNA. These Leviathans, both the resistant group and the bioregenesis group, were easily directed by their puppet masters, the fallen ones, from their extraterrestrial vantage point. So here's something too that Ermic and I talked about. The fallen ones, the fallen angels, right? They didn't fall from heaven. I know some people think they did. It sounds like they did. What they did was, when they were cast down by God, they weren't shunned by God. They were cast down to do a job on earth, and they fell from grace. They fell from the grace of God. That's where the term fallen angels comes from. They weren't cast down because they were, and when they fell from grace is when they bred with the daughters of man, creating the Nephilim, also doing, which I've shared on the channel before, they had their own kind of bio creations where they were not only breeding with human women, but they were creating creatures. Either they were breeding with these creatures like cattle or dog, or they were genetically doing genetic experimentation on them. There's a couple different sources on that I've read. Book of Enoch, Book of Giants. There's a couple of other things up on my bookshelf right now that talk about it. So I just wanted to, from their vantage point, the fallen ones, the puppet masters. Thus, the Illuminati don't necessarily know who they are, or that they are given information only on a need-to-know basis. Moreover, just as they are competing factions of ET races, there are corresponding factions of the Illuminati. Ironically, we could say that although humans didn't evolve from Neanderthal man, the Illuminati did. However, The important point here is that nature of the souls that enter the bodies, and in this case of the Illuminati, these would be non-human fallen ET souls or fallen angel souls. See, when they fell and fell from grace, they were demonic at that point. So, and I say this a lot, that I believe aliens are demons. And I've shared this before, and Aramik and I talked about it. Some of these angels that fell from earth, or fell to earth, not fell to earth, but were cast out to earth and fell from grace, they were reptilian-like. It's in the book of Enoch. And then Aramik pointed out that they were the seraphim, which seraphim, we get the word serpent. Many implant network systems, effectively underground, are present on Earth, set up mainly by the two principal competitors, the Anunnaki and the Draconian. Although many Illuminati might think that enslavement of the human race is the final agenda of the invaders, this is not remotely the case. The Anunnaki, at the first opportunity, intend to install scalar pulse power plants on Earth to blast open portals to inner Earth. This would be a major step toward a takeover of not only the planetary system, but the final goal, the complete assimilation of the time matrix, a sector of the universe which they have been planning for hundreds of millions of years. The inner Earth portals lead to higher dimensions of our time matrix, and even if they can't get far through these portal systems due to their deficient frequency patterns, they would nevertheless prevent higher sources of energy entering to protect the lower levels by altering and reversing alignments, thus enabling them at least to assimilate the lower dimensions. It is simply food or energy to them to stop their slow black hole decay. The planetary and stellar alignments for ascension and portal access only occur every planetary time cycle, 26,556 years, when the lower and upper dimensions temporarily merge. Currently, there are many Illuminati, Melchizedek, I hate the word, Melchizedek Leviathan, under invader ET control, running government, science, religion, and education. There are also good people in general who are unsuspecting victims of astral tagging or implants or targeted by psychotronic mind control and comprised by consciousness DNA infiltration, where possible pet control dogma are exploited, in which the human is pushing some obsessive religious dogma or ideas of God or belief systems, the motivations related to science and politics. In other words, humans tricked into playing unholy roles. During Atlantis, different factions motivated by corresponding controlling ETs attained possession of different geographical territories on Earth and installed spikes that are embedded in the Earth's grid system. These are seed implants of crystalline metals inserted deep into the crust by means of photosonic pulses. The spikes act as a receiver and broadcaster. This is known as a grid spiking and is one method of creating an implant network for enslaving a society. When the spikers are activated, they create a myriad of mini wormholes which run to a large main phoenix wormhole in the Bermuda Triangle, also to Nibiru, the Anunnaki planet, controlling Wormwood Planet X. Note that our planet is riddled with electromagnetic corridors, portal systems, a principal universal stargate, and the sphere of Amenti pearly gates of heaven, containing 6 different dimensional portals, and the stuff of Amenti, a frequency conversion portal. Since around 10,000 BC, governmental buildings and places of worship have been built over these spikes. Society has been cultivated by these ET-controlled Illuminati family lines for thousands of years. The Draconians copied the Phoenix wormhole with their Falcon wormhole in the same area, Bermuda Triangle. Frequently, the Anunnaki would cap or block the Falcon, and then the Draconian would blow it off. There was continuous warnings. These wormwoods formed a part of an implant interference system, of these rivaling ETs, and were designed to be merged with other support systems such as the grid spikes and even the government HARP. These large implant network systems need to be boosted by the ascension cycle, stellar activation, but they need a continuous linkage system with sufficient global coverage to have been activated. The Philadelphia experiment in 1943 was set up by the Zeta Drakes to complete their interface system by activating the Falcon in 1983. The Zetas again controlled the Illuminati for a further experiment and linked Falcon to the Necromaton network. 2000, the Phantom Matrix Anunnaki, Dracos, and Necromatons formed an alliance, the UIR, or United Invader Resistance. The 2 wormholes were to be blended to augment the final network, creating sufficient power to pull a whole planet into the Phantom Matrix. Note that the big Anunnaki and Draco come from separate metrics consisting of Wesadek Anunnaki and Wesa Drake Draconian. These Dark Lords created the incredible beast technology. So exactly, really quick, that beast technology, what they're talking about is these Anunnaki and fallen angels created the Nephilim. We were already here. We are God's creation. This is not any kind of blasphemy. This is already, it already said we were here. We are dealing with ETs. Ancient man, like Pueblo and other native cultures, when they first saw the Anunnaki, viewed them as gods. They had all this power. They were tall, huge beings. Why wouldn't they view them as God? They have all this power. They can create or manipulate genes into life. Only God can do that. Well, now we can. I mean, we've mastered it with CRISPR and the recreation of the dire wolf and other, other extinct animals that are being created now. So we are doing the same thing they did, which is pretty freaky if you think about it. So here's another, for instance, the gray reptilian Draco in Dulce and other deep underground facilities I believe, without a shadow of a doubt, created the crawler. I believe the crawler, like I said in another video, is different than the European ghoul / vampire. These crawlers are a kind of a guard dog. My own theory, but it makes a hell of a lot of sense to me. So they now are using this beast technology to create exactly what beasts. The Phoenix Falcon blend experiment didn't work due to planetary consciousness. Through indigos, mainly the stellar ascension activations, created a critical mass of a 12-code pulse that is a D12 current, what the Guardians refer to as a 12-dimensional current fully aligned with the source or divine blueprint. The UIR technology and consciousness can't work at D12. Their DNA only go to 10 and 11. Strands, dimensions, and in any case are essentially operating on a reverse coding. Many of these Anu Melchizedeks have been awakened into motivation by the invader ET before the ascension period. Spontaneous changes to their DNA occur, which could cause them to turn against the invaders. There is a race against time. A further powerful tool of these ETs is the programming of indigos type 3, who are vulnerable, having agreed to aid the Nephilim, the Anunnaki human hybrid, in rehabilitating their DNA by sharing it to create the Anunnaki magenta race according to the red streak of ore. Montauk Phoenix wormhole grid spiking network became due for activation in 2001. This is normally accomplished by the means of scalar sonic pulses. These subsonic pulses are known to have a dangerous spread. As a result, prominent buildings such as the Twin Towers and the Pentagon have had primary spike sites under them would be expected to collapse. Nevertheless, to destroy the buildings was all part of the greater plan, and the cover of terrorists was set up to serve the purpose of stirring up further conflict, mass psychological fear, and another war in particular, pitting countries against one another regarding whether we are all sided or not with the anti-terrorism coalition. These subscalar pulses were created by 1. Combining calibrated electromagnetic waves at specific angles, sparkling these with a special electrical charge, creating minons, directing the subspace sonic pulses to target. The beam is a trumpet, referred to as in the Bible. Entrainment on the target and form locked before Renaissance is amplified, turning the matter into ashes. Today's upload all stemmed from a conversation with Aramik, who is a strong supporter of the channel, a friend of the channel, has sent me countless gifts, gifted memberships. But after that conversation that we had today, I consider him a friend. I had such an amazing conversation, and I know many of you have had conversations with people that, you know, you just feel like, wow, that was a meaningful conversation. You know, like, you can conversate with somebody at the freaking grocery mart or the gym or whatever, and it's just like a complete waste of your time and brain. But Aramik and I had such bouncing ideas, bouncing theories, bouncing information off of each other. And those are valuable. Those conversations are valuable. And when you can have one of those, I feel like it's just something profound. So Aramik, I consider a friend now. It's not just a friend of the channel. He is my friend. And that's what's amazing about this channel and about this pseudoscience of cryptozoology and paranormal research, is that the people you meet, if they are as open-minded and willing as you, strong friendships are formed. So conversation, Aramik, boom, I'm starting to think. I take a walk over to my bookshelf as I'm on the phone with Aramik, and I talk about this book right here. One of the greatest books I have. Them and Us, How Neanderthal Predation Created Modern Human, by Danny Van Drimming. Title is a bit, people are going to, like I said in the intro, caveman or Neanderthal did not create human. That's not what that title means, I said once before. Google or research a dictionary, because it's not what it means. Anyway, Danny Van Drimming describes Neanderthal in this book beautifully. But I hate the hiccups. Authorities behind science, education, and media endeavor relentlessly try to convince us that the human has evolved from Neanderthal. The irony is that although we, in fact, did not evolve from this primitive form, one might say that the Illuminati running our planet did. Back in 150,000 years BC, the Anunnaki created Neanderthal as a slave race to mine gold. Back to that Bigfoot story, right? Well, what does Van Drimming describe these creatures as? But every human culture has believed in the existence of other beings, monstrous humanoids, sapient, but inhuman. They have gone by different names: boogeyman, bugbear, cyclops, giant, Jotun, ogre, Anya, troll, yeti, Bigfoot, dogman, and more. But they are always feared, lurkers in the shadows, threats to the clan, tribe, or hearth. Dungeons and Dragons did not create these monsters, and despite ongoing controversy, they don't represent anything modern. Humanity's legendary heroes have been fighting these monsters since time immemorial. The real question is, why does every civilization have similar myths? Why does every culture have legends of monstrous humanoids, and why are they always depicted as fearsome and dangerous? Because legends are real. Because boogeyman, bugbear, cyclops, giant, yeti, troll, dogman, and Bigfoot are real. How he describes them in a few minutes I will share with you. If you remember how Victor described Bigfoot, dogman, werewolf. Werewolf, I've had people ask me to describe what a werewolf on this channel means. I know that, people use the Hollywood term werewolf as a shapeshifter. But on this channel, and if you know who Victor was, and you want to see some very interesting things with ucia.gov emails attached to it, go over to my community post and scroll about 5 years down. And note, people cannot create .gov. emails unless you are part of the government or work for the government. So Victor describes Dogman as wolf-like face or muzzle, large hocked legs, tail, the basic description of Hollywood's werewolf minus the transformation. They can have here's something interesting I always thought about is the Dogman and people saying, well, what about the hyena-like looking one? Well, yeah, but they're not. I don't think it's an offshoot or a different name. They're just like humans. I don't look like everyone else. I don't look like a guy from Japan. A guy from, Zimbabwe doesn't look like me. We all have our own character traits. And I think that's what those different dogmen, they are something like that. You know what I mean? But then werewolves and Bigfoot, I don't need to describe Bigfoot. Everyone knows. Werewolf, very similar shaped to a Bigfoot, except they have pointed ears and they have a shorter muzzle. Much shorter than a Dogman. No tail. Straight legs. Human-like legs. Immense strength. An immense brain. And that's how he describes them. Apex predators. Apex hunters. Apex fighters. Well, how does Van Drimity describe these things as? Well, right now, I'm going to share that with you. They went to war with humans. So, we just became better warriors, better at war, better creators of weapons. Neanderthal were apex predators. Analysis of isotopes of bone collage have shown that Neanderthal's diet was 97% meat. They're estimated to have eaten 4.1 pounds of fresh meat a day. Ample evidence exists to show that they had usage of tools. They were also shown to have bones littered in their caves. They were known to hunt woolly mammoth, giant cave bear, woolly rhino, bison, wolves, and other cave lions, the most dangerous and lethal. So the way Victor described werewolves is they were quite intelligent. They had that capability of figuring things out. Neanderthal were cannibalistic. A number of Neanderthal sites reveal bones have been cut or cracked to extract marrow. Neanderthal had more robust bones, heavily muscular than humans, weighed 25% more. They were so heavily muscled that their skeletons had to develop extra thick bone. One of the most characteristic features of Neanderthal is the exaggerated massiveness of their trunk and limb bones. All of the preserved bones suggest a strength seldom attained by modern humans. Quoting a paleoanthropologist, so quoting a scientist, Eric Trinkus, a healthy Neanderthal male could lift an average NFL linebacker over his head, throw him through a goalpost. Neanderthal also evolved extremely thick skull, post-cranial hyperrobustity that protected them from close quarter confrontation with prey. They had kyphosis with hunched backs, gave them a distinct gait or profile. Neanderthal's teeth were twice as large as human teeth. According to a 2008 anthropologist research, their mouths could open much wider than a human, enabling them to take extremely large bites, and judging on the size of their jaw and their shapes of their teeth, very similar to a canine, they had tremendous bite force. Neanderthal evolved in the Ice Age and were specific to adaptation to climate. They had short limbs, large nose, compact torso, more importantly covered with thick fur. Holy shit. Since no Neanderthal cadaver survives, this point cannot be proven, but Van Drimini points out that every primate except for Homo sapien is covered with fur, and that every cold-adapted mammal during the Ice Age had thick fur, including mammals that were hairless in Africa, such as the elephant and rhino. There is no reason to believe that Neanderthal was hairless except for the desire for them to look like us. The only way Neanderthal could have survived the Ice Age without fur is they made thick protective clothes. Archaeologist and other scientist Mark White points out that no needlecraft has ever been found. Neanderthal clothing would have needed to be much more than a ragged loincloth. Neanderthal skull had extremely large eye sockets for large eyes that in turn suggests the Neanderthal were nocturnal. However, the large eyes pose a problem. In Ice Age Europe would have presented Neanderthal with blinding sunlight reflecting off the snow. Van Drimini suggests that the Neanderthal had vertically slit-aligned pupils, which enabled them to use a full diameter of lens to flow light. So nocturnal primates such as the rhesus monkey and the owl monkey all have vertically aligned slit pupil. Van Drimini suggests Neanderthal also had a tapetum lucidum, like a cat, making their eyes shine in the dark. Neanderthal had, so right there, eye shine, hairy, sharp teeth, tremendous bite force, very intelligent because they were using tools sometimes. Neanderthal had facial prognathism that featured large broad nose. Van Drimini suggests Neanderthal had a snout, a Neanderthal snout, with a dog-like nose designed for scent hunting, used during nocturnal raids. I hate when Tigger comes in there like that and just that door opens up when I'm doing this because it freaks me out. So they have a muzzle, a Neanderthal snout as he depicts it. They didn't speak. They used guttural grunts because of their nasal passage. But eventually they probably, and because of what Victor has shared, through adaptation, learned how. So, the Neanderthal that Van Drimini describes is thus a terrifying creature, a hunched, cannibalistic predator with large, shining eyes, an animalistic snout covered in thick fur, massive muscles built for close combat, hunting by night with a brutish and guttural voice, and a huge mouth with huge teeth, large, sharp, powerful jaws. This did not look like Fred Flintstone. That, my friends, was a bugbear, a orc, a werewolf, whatever it is. It's appearing in our myths and legends for thousands of years, and it is one of humanity's greatest enemies. So was this creature created as much more than did the Anunnaki create the ultimate apex predator? Judging on what is said about Nightmare Hall and Dulce, I have no reason not to believe that. I mean, right? Right, so I really do hope you enjoyed today's upload. I had fun making it. I had fun sharing the information with you. And it all stemmed from an amazing conversation with an amazing friend, an amazing new friend. And, I think that's one of the benefits of this pseudoscience, cryptozoology, or paranormal research, whatever you want to call it. Research of high strangeness. We get to meet some pretty amazing people that the rest of the world thinks that we're all crazy. Yeah. Are they the crazy ones? Yeah, I think so. I'd rather be in this world that we are in and the research that we do and learn than watching Jersey Shore or spending my day on TikTok Facebook, Drama City. To me, this is way better. Anyway, with that, I'd like to thank you all for supporting this channel. It is, after all, your support that helps the channel to continue to grow and go, and what gives us all a place and a chance to share our experiences and theories judgment-free. Everyone is simply treated with the respect that we deserve. Please stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and our friends. These creatures are real. These events have happened. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the truth, and God bless you all.